Zach, so I guess camp's almost basically over today, but you got a couple more. But anyways, things you didn't know about your defense, good or bad, that you know maybe are different than what you thought at the beginning of camp?
Yeah, I think the last couple days, and the installs have slowed down. We started to rep a lot of the things that have been in. I think our executions with the guys who are, more expected to play, older guys, that are running with the earlier groups has been much improved. Early on in camp, it can be overwhelming sometimes with all the new things, the days you get, and then as you get on the back half, it starts to slow down for everybody. So, I was encouraged with that today. The young guys, some of the guys fighting to maybe make the travel squad, they still got a little ways to go.
Ask Rich this, and it's particularly with your defense. You get a lot of guys who've played a lot of football elsewhere, but they're new to your system. Are they quicker to pick it up just because they have a lot of game action, or just because they're new, it's still new for them?
I think most of them that come from other places pick it up a little bit quicker. Guys are able to correlate. It's not like we played cover three, they played cover three where they were. It may be a different word, a different term, but they can correlate that game experience, some of the things they've done, to be the same as what they're doing here. So I do think it gives those guys an advantage. There's probably some things they haven't done that is new for them, but definitely compared to maybe an incoming freshman who, they lined up in high school and said, go get the ball. It's definitely an easier transition.
What you saw today and what you will see on tape, will that alter or influence what you choose to do next week?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We got to figure out, basically watching the scrimmage today, and then I think we got Monday and Tuesday left really in camp. School starts Wednesday, so the guys who are going to help us this season, the guys that may be on the scout team, and obviously that can change. Halfway through the year, a guy grows up, comes up, plays well, but at least for the first couple games, we've got to narrow in the reps and the guys we feel like will help contribute early on in the season.
How much does that happen? A guy that you sort of ID now, he's just not right there, but in October, he is. Does that happen often, or is that rare?
I'd say it's, maybe once a year, I feel like, between both sides of the ball, you find a guy that maybe the beginning of season, he's, on scout team over there, and maybe due to injury, due to maturity, whatever that is, he's get called up game 7, game 8, and plays pretty well for you down the stretch. I've been a part of that in other places. Guys at Jacksonville State. I had a running back like that last year at Oklahoma, and so I've been around a few of those, but definitely not the norm. That's probably the exception.
When you're figuring out who's going to play, where does ability and talent factor in with football IQ? How do you weigh that when you're determining guys?
Yeah, I told the whole group this after practice. I look at how do you grade. We grade every snap they ever take. If you got to grade a winner, and then if two guys are grading the same way, the one that's more productive, he plays. And sometimes that's more talented as far as physically. Sometimes that's maybe he's a faster processor, so he makes more plays while he's out there because he knows what's going on. So it's kind of a combination of those two things. Obviously, if you're out there grading 25%, you probably ain't going to play very much because I can't trust you. So it's a combination of productivity along with consistency of performance.
Zach, at the end of the spring practice, you said the defensive line needs to do a little bit better job at getting to the quarterback. How have they progressed all through camp, and how do they look today?
I thought they've done a better job. Coach Rodriguez does a good job of messing with them. All the different ways they run the ball and they pass protect different ways and all that. So that does affect their ability to come off the ball a lot of times. But I've been pleased last couple days with just the ability of our edge rushers, and even interiorly a couple guys today. Some of the young guys got out there. I think maybe one or two of them had a sack today from the inside, so true freshmen, some of that. So encouraging to see those guys do it, and hopefully we can keep building on that into the season.
You mentioned install. Are all of your packages in, all your sub packages, dime, nickel, all of that? Is that all been put in?
Well, it's never all in. I don't think there's that. I'm not sure that's even possible because there'll be new stuff I find every week I want to do. But as far as the differing structures, the things we do, those are all have been introduced at least.
Zach, an average play from a scrimmage, how long does it take you to grade one play, and then how long will it take you to get through everything from today?
It's a great question. Sometimes it depends on the play. I'm as we watch as a staff, I'm in there correcting everybody. Not just my guys, but the whole defense. So anywhere from minute to 4 minutes probably per play. Probably get done with the scrimmage about 2 hours, 2.5 hours or so. Depending on who was in, how it went, what the correction needed to be, were there multiple guys that we need to correct in the same play. So I'd probably say somewhere between 1 and 4 minutes per play.
You've got to farm all of that, your notes, whatever, out to position coaches, everybody working at each spot to get to the players, correct?
Yeah.
Right now at this point, what do your guys do best, in your opinion?
I think we've got a decent amount of ability. We play a lot of like 4-down quarters, probably that more than anything else. That's probably what we hang our hat on, and they're probably more used to that than anything. So I'd say most likely that.
Are there any players or a player or players who stand out from practice 1 to practice 16 now who have improved the most?
I think most everybody's gotten better. We have, I think, like 41 seniors or something like that. I mean, you've got a lot of guys who've been around and played a lot of ball. So I think more comfort in the defense has helped them more than anything as they've gotten used to it. And, I would say just as a whole, we've raised our level of play.
Obviously, you have 2 weeks left to practice before we get to the first game. But if you had to put that defense out there today against a Big 12 team or a Power 4 team, how confident are you they're going to be able to do what you need them to do to win a game?
I just feel pretty good. I mean, I can't say I've ever gone to a game like, man, I'm going to give up 50 today. I hope we can score 100. I mean, I think I can shut anybody out any given week, if we do what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to play. So I don't know if I have a good answer to that question. Like, I've always got confidence in my guys because I coach them, and I know that they, though we might have deficiencies here or there, you got to help a guy. Maybe he's not good at this or that. We're going to put him in situations to win and give ourselves a chance.
Travis was mentioning earlier that part of your plans could change from week to week. He said, as an offensive coach, you really got to hone in and figure out, okay, what do you do? Where does that come from you? Where does that reside in your mind that you will, from week to week, that the plan could change quite a bit?
I apologize.
You mentioned that,
exactly.
what you do could change from week to week. And he said that as an offensive coach, it's very difficult to kind of lock in on what you do. Where does that thought process come from you to do that?
I got you. You talking about me?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and planning
Sorry.
for you and what you're going to do from one week to the next could change considerably.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I'm trying to use our players in the best ways we can to put them in positions to be successful. And then, sometimes what do they not like to see? Let's do that. What do we can do to get them off balance, keep them from, feeling like they know what we're going to do. And then, what do they not like to see? What are they good at? Those type of things are always factor in every week. But, I've never been somebody that says, well, this is we win because this is what type of team we are. And we do whatever it takes to win every single week.
Are you a big self-scouter?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll know every week. I can usually remember, all right, last week we were this week we're going to be that week we're going to be, okay, I've called this 4 times this year on this situation. I don't want to do that this go round. I can remember it most of the time throughout the year, and then we'll do deep dive self scouts on the bye weeks, and then kind of mini ones on Sundays. Some of our analysts and assistant coaches will, hey, by the way, blah blah blah, and try and fix some of those things.
We got to interview Henry Weinrich yesterday, and his background obviously very unique with chemistry and could have gone to high school. He's followed you around. So you ever dealt with anybody that has sort of changed a career path like he has? And what was it that you saw that you wanted to take him with you to various stops?
Yeah, well, the first day we got there, I got to Jacksonville State. I was in need of doing some quantum mechanics. And so I asked Henry, and he was able to give me the answer, and we were best friends from that point forward. But no, I mean, he's really smart, really sharp. He does a great job and everything. He's very detailed. He understands he sees the game how I see it. Partly probably because he's been around me now for a bunch of different places and has had some experiences outside of that too. And I think that he does a great job, and what an opportunity for him. And I trust him completely. He's done a phenomenal job here, and he'll continue to do that.
Never encouraged him to say, hey, football's a crazy game. Go to med school. You've never encouraged him to do that?
I have encouraged him that way. I actually, I interned with the Panthers for a little bit, and I got into the first day, and the linebackers coach there, he said, why do you want to do this? I said, what do you mean? He said, your wife's going to hate you, your family's going to hate you, everybody else going to hate you. You crazy. I was like, thanks. Encouraging speech. But we love it. I think that he's the same way I am, that, man, our players, the relationships you have, the ability to change lives, to be around people that, maybe they didn't know anything else, that this is the first time they've had the discipline, the accountability, the things that, the habits that you get to build in young men to make them successful, to help them when they leave here. Because ultimately, football is a short-lived game. And, if the ball is a foundation, it's wobbly. You ain't going to stand on it. It ain't going to happen very long. And, we've been fortunate to, as far as myself, Coach Henry, Coach Rodriguez, impact multiple lives and hopefully change generations, and I think that's why we do what we do, even though it's hard and we get frustrated and you hear us, complain about all the different things and all this and that and the other that we do, but it brings a lot of joy, at the same time, just the relationships with the people and the kids, and I think, Henry's got that type of relationship with myself and me with him, and that emanates into the guys that we coach, and so that's an encouraging thing to me, and that's why we do what we do, and it's enjoyable to see the fruits of that labor later on, in guys' lives when they come back, and now they got kids and they're doing this and that and the other, and it's awesome.
Zach, it seems like everybody's got a nickel in their defense now, even as a base, right? And just hearing Henry talk about it yesterday, just a lot that person has to be able to do. I'm not even sure that's unique, but do you need that person or want that person to do anything like unique to your defense and the way you attack?
Yeah, I think, he's might have the hardest job on the field. Because he's a linebacker and he's a corner, and sometimes he's a defensive end, and occasionally he's a three technique. And so he does everything for us. When you blitz him, when you move him around, he's got to cover man, he's got to cover zone, he's got to understand where his fits are, and it's a unique position, I would say, from a learning standpoint. And everywhere I've been, we've had a great nickel Sam, and we've had a great defense. And I don't think that's any different, moving forward.
You mentioned Sam too. I just narrowed it down to nickel, but if you're going to be good at that position on defense, you really have to have both, so you don't get kind of pigeonholed by not having a Sam or not having a nickel, and the other team can just pick on you.
Yeah, if I had it my way, I'd leave the same guy out there if he can do it all. I don't know if y'all know who Isaiah Simmons was at Clemson, but he's pretty much prototype. He's 240 pounds, but ran 4.1. So he could go. So if I don't have to take the guy off the field because he's physical and he can cover and do all the things we want, we don't necessarily play with a Sam. I know it's funny. We all take it as two different terms. We literally say nickel Sam. It's the same position to us. I don't even know the difference when you say it, But if you have a guy that maybe is more of a corner body, you might sub him out for more of a linebacker body, they get in 23 personnel on the goal line. You probably don't want that guy in there, fitting the A gap. So, we'll sub in those type of situations. But overall, we'd prefer to keep the same personnel on the field.
I'm not sure if you've been asked this one this fall already, and I missed it. But on the nickel and Sam topic, y'all at Oklahoma had this cheetah position in Coach Venable's defense. Is that kind of a hybrid with a nickel and a linebacker role, or is it something that is just another word for a nickel or a Sam, and do you bring that into this defense in some role here?
It sounded cooler. That's the extent of it. So that was our nickel.
I love that.
Yep.
That position here, do you have the bodies that can stay on the field all the time here, or some of those guys, as you said, sort of maybe more corner bodies that you're going to have to sub out at times?
Yeah, I think that a couple of the guys, obviously we believe in Fred Perry, and obviously wouldn't have brought him if we had him. I think Fred can play any down he wants, and the guys behind him, I think they can all do it. It's a matter of what they're good at and trying to put them in positions that you want them to be successful.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.